What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Politically Insane. It's our late night show. We're moving it over to Thursdays. Sorry, I didn't have any kind of a heads up warning to everybody. And so we're probably not going to have any live watchers, no live chat or anything like that, just because I didn't know when I was going to be able to hop back on. I've had a lot of life changes here recently, so it's been kind of hard for me to kind of jump back into the podcast. We did take a bit of a hiatus, but I am very glad that we're back. This is something that I enjoy. This is something that I want to grow and I want to further. So it's definitely something that means a lot to me, and hopefully it means a lot to those who do support the show. And I want to thank everybody for supporting. So here we are doing the late night shows here on Thursdays, and then we will be able to start releasing actual podcasts again on Tuesdays. I'm going to get those released on Tuesdays. So make sure to tune in. You can always go over to any podcast platform and listen to our podcast there. And of course, we are always going to be live instead of Saturdays. We're going to be live every Thursday, and we'll usually shoot for about 8 to 8:30. Just because today was just kind of a little bit of a rush to try to get on, so went ahead and push it back to 8:30. But I think we'll kind of play around with the time and see what works out, both for me and for the two guys that I've got with me. Of course, I've got my brother Britton.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and so Britton and I, we were able to actually be in the same studio today, which is a first, and it's going to be this way for a little while, just because of some of those life changes. And then, of course, I've got Tyler with me.
Hey guys, long time no see, I guess. It's
Yeah,
been a hot minute.
it sure has. And, there's been so much that we've missed too whenever we took this hiatus. You think back, especially the big one that I can think of is the Leah Thomas situation and transgenders being transgender, whatever it is. I'm trying to think of the correct term. Biological men being in women's sports.
Men
That's
beating the
huge.
crap out of women,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
which in
And
a sane society we'd be like, hell no. But instead we're like, brave and beautiful.
exactly. Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense. And I wanted to get into some of the conversations that I had with some people because I had some there is no logical explanation for people's line of thinking when it comes to that. But we're not going to talk too much about that tonight. We are going to talk about making a decision, picking a side. That's our main goal. And for everyone watching, whether you're watching or listening, after the fact, during the main purpose of this is I wanted to keep it completely 100% unscripted. We've got ideas of what we're talking about here. Mainly me, I'm the one that came up with the show notes idea, but we didn't even write show notes. I want to keep this completely unscripted because this is something that I want us to all have a genuine discussion. And I think between Tyler, Britton, and I think we can all have a pretty honest discussion. And I think with the topics we're going to discuss, which we'll discuss abortion, marriage, and political ideologies, which I have a tie together with all three of them. I'm sure if I just say it out there, I'm sure you can probably make the tie in your head. But I want us to talk about these because we might have some slight differences in the way we're thinking. I know all three of us are going to be pretty aligned, but to have an open discussion to talk about this because these are three things, some of the things there's so much in our society that we have to cover, but these are three things we definitely have to pick a side. And whenever we come to the end, I hope that we can kind of see why it's so important that we pick a side, especially on these topics even. But yeah, the main goal of this is just to have an open discussion, talk about these subjects, and we'll start off with abortion. And the reason why I picked abortion is because I think for the longest time, for as long as I can remember, this is probably the biggest nonstop battle that we've had as conservatives. Uh, and correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if you guys can think of something too. But I feel like for pro life conservative movement, this has been the longest battle. Is fighting for life. And
I would say guns is up there as well.
yeah, yeah,
Guns is like
I
the
think guns.
one.
And do you think guns is as important as abortion?
So, okay, that's actually a good question because the reason you have a Second Amendment right is to protect against government overreach, which can include things like forced abortions, like you saw in
Yeah,
China and stuff like that. So that's kind of hard because protecting life, you kind of need that Second Amendment right, but at
yeah,
the same time, like you can't really force the government's hand without a Second Amendment.
Yeah.
to protect life. So I think that's the main reason why I think guns might be they're pretty close tie. I
Yeah,
think those are two of the biggest issues.
I like the argument you make. I may differ from you a little bit
Mhm.
just because of, my line of thinking. What about you, Britt? What do you think?
You know, it's a good question. I would say, if I had to pick a side here, guns have definitely been a big struggle for a long time. I feel like they've been after our guns since, well, 9/11. It seems like really kind of hit that target for us. There was a lot more, policies put in place and stuff, and
Oh, for sure.
with the
The
government.
Patriot Act and stuff
Yeah.
Sure.
like
So,
that.
so I feel like since then, but I would say probably even before that, abortion was still a big thing. So
Yeah.
maybe abortion, but I can definitely see either one. I think they're both very important
Yeah.
topics, but I mean, if I had to pick a more important topic,
I think
I
that
think
I think at least the Second Amendment, with fighting for the Second Amendment, I think that's at least not as much of a losing battle, if that makes sense. Because I feel like if you go far enough back, we go so far back where it really wasn't a losing battle at all. We were Second Amendment. Whereas abortion, it seemed like really, if you're not saving life completely, then you're losing the battle. And that's really where the pro-life movement it has been until recent times.
Well, it's also the pro-abortion side really went really quick with it. Guns has been kind
Yeah.
of slow over time, but it was like Roe v. Wade, and then it was safe, legal, and rare, and then it just went straight to shout your abortion, and it's like, well, where's that? We didn't have a middle ground there. It was just like abortion's a necessary evil, straight to everyone have an abortion. It's a good thing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
so. I will say, I think along the lines of the guns, I've seen in probably the last 2 or 3 years more states go to like not having to have a license, concealed carry license. So I think
Yeah.
I don't want to say we're like moving in like some monumental progression of this, but I think we are getting better in some areas. As to where abortion, I've really not seen much growth at all
We
in
we
our
have
country
we have recently, but
recently.
it's only been very
Sure,
recent.
and I would agree.
Yeah, and because you have states like Tennessee, Texas was the big one, of course, and I'm trying to think there was another big one here recently. I don't know if you can remember, Tyler, but, there's been
There,
3 big states that have made big leaps
Was it
recently.
Virginia?
Is it
I'm trying to
maybe
think.
Mississippi?
It was one of those states.
Yeah,
I
something
can't
like that,
remember.
I know I can think of 3 big states where we've made big leaps, and I think Texas putting that, their abortion laws, I think that's probably been the biggest one for abortion. But
Idaho had a big one as well,
yeah.
similar to Texas.
Yeah, and so, when we look overall, and I think overall too, it's been kind of enlightening to people for the pro-life movement to become as big as it has recently. Because with the way that we have been we've been inching forward. We haven't been taking leaps and bounds, but in the pro-life movement, we have been inching forward, and I think that's incredibly important and it's been incredibly encouraging to see. And so I'm very happy to know that we have been making some decent movements, and we've definitely been moving forward.
I think we're finally on the offense on the pro-abortion,
Oh,
or
for
not
sure.
pro-abortion, pro-life side, rather than we're still stuck. Well, I mean, the pro-abortion side is also on the offense
We're
and the
safe
defense right now.
babies.
Yeah, I mean,
But as for on the gun side, we're kind of just standing our ground, but only slightly. Like, one of the things that like Tim Pool talks about and stuff like that is Republicans only go, no, we're not gonna stop. We're just gonna stop the legislation they're trying to pass, rather than, hey, let's get rid of the ATF, let's get rid of the NFA, let's actually make the Second Amendment what it was supposed to be. Right to bear arms. It doesn't specify what kind of arms. That
yeah,
includes these ones. And if I want to have an M16, I should be allowed to have an M16. So it's
yeah.
just,
And that's the thing too. So I feel like both, we weren't even planning to bring up guns at all. But I'm glad that we did. This is why I like this unscripted idea with this,
Because we
because
love guns
we do.
and bacon.
and when all three of us are probably very hardcore for both, really, for the most part. I don't know how. I don't know. It's been a while since Britt and I have talked abortion too much, and I know Tyler and I had some difference the last time that we discussed it. So I'm sure we'll get into it in just a moment. But
We had a difference on abortion.
we did, and I'll bring it up in here in just a minute. It wasn't really abortion that we had a difference, but maybe how far we would fight for abortion, maybe. Uh,
Oh yeah, I think
I'll
I
I'll
think
go
I
ahead
might
and say it
remember
'cause
this.
I think you had a difference in, uh, abortion laws for rape, and things of that nature.
Oh no, I think that that isn't an exception, right? You shouldn't
Okay.
punish the child for it. The only thing I have with that is
I'll
if we
stop
can
you
make a
there
deal
because
with the pro when people make that argument, you just
we're
go,
we're gonna
what?
jump back to that, so I'm gonna stop you
Oh,
there.
okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, so getting into abortion, the main reason why this is the one that I brought up, like I said, I think this is probably at least one of the longest fights, and one of the fights that we have. I guess the similarity we have between the Second Amendment and abortion is that both of them are long fights, but there is no middle ground. It's all or nothing, and we're not going to give an inch to life. We are not going to give an inch to you letting an innocent child be murdered, and we're also not going to give an inch with giving up our guns and our rights. And Tyler made a really good point in the way that giving up the rights to our guns gives up the right to our own life and general and the right to be able to fight for life. And I think that's incredibly important. So the main thing I want to look into, and another reason why I brought this up is because it's another recent discussion that I've had, and not a very good one. It was just a very low level IQ discussion, and that's just what you run into when you discuss things on the left anymore today. It's all super low level IQ, and especially when you talk with just everyday people. Which for me it was mainly on Facebook and other social media platforms that I've talked with people, and that's the kind of group you're going to run into. But if you can, go ahead and pull up that overlay for me, Tyler. And this is the post that I saw. It says pro-choice does not mean pro-abortion. Pro-choice means that no matter what your personal feelings or beliefs about abortion are, you understand it is not your place to make a decision for another woman about what she can and can't do with her body.
So does that mean pro-abortion?
Well, so this is where you get to. Okay, so from the pro-life stance, we are talking about life. We are talking about abortion itself. We are against abortion. We are against taking life. So my response to that post was simply just because she wanted to try to explain what pro-choice is. And we'll get to that a little bit more into detail too. But she wanted to try to explain with reposting this, that what pro-choice was. So I wanted to explain what pro-life is because she obviously had no idea what pro-life really was. Therefore, I needed to explain that as well if I don't understand pro-choice. So I explained it, and the way that I explained it was basically just simply that pro-life means that we fight for life. We don't care what the mother does with her own body. We agree. We don't have a say in what a woman does with her own body. And when we start to get into trans and how woman really means nothing, then how can you even fight for a woman's body if you don't even know what a woman is, if you can't define a woman? But that's
I'm a
that's another
woman.
discussion.
I am a woman and a man at the same time.
I am whatever I wanna be now in
Exactly.
today's world.
Whoa,
My
man.
adjectives are handsome, intelligent, and athletic.
So, getting back to the point here, with pro-life is fighting for the life that cannot defend itself. Pro-life means that we are against abortion, not because we think that the woman shouldn't have a say-so in her body, but that we don't think she should have a say-so in taking the life of a body that is innocent, a body and a life that cannot defend itself. We don't care about your body. We could care less what you do with your body, but we believe that you should not have the right to destroy and to murder another and take the life of an innocent body, which we are not fighting for your life or for your body. We'll fight for your life, I promise that. But we're not fighting for your body. We're fighting for the body that you don't have a say so in life, that you don't have a say so in taking. Did you have something, Tyler?
So I just got a message from somebody. It's looking like we might have not be on YouTube anymore
Oh, really?
already. Yeah, either there's just an issue with his internet or we've been kicked off this early in the show.
That wouldn't
So go to
surprise me.
Rumble, guys. Go to Rumble. You can, of course, watch us
We should be
anywhere.
live on Rumble. I do believe we are live on Rumble. I haven't checked
We're
it.
live on Rumble. Um,
I think we're still up on YouTube. I just
we
not
are.
checked, and I still see us on YouTube.
If
So
Elon Musk gets his poop in a group, we can be on Twitter as well.
yeah, we might still be on Twitter. I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me if we start having issues because we've had issues with YouTube in the past.
Yeah, apparently I can't make jokes about murdering pedophiles.
Yeah,
So
that got us taken off right away. We weren't even
oh
5
yeah.
minutes into the show.
I
10
was
minutes.
like, I feel like that's the one group of people that you should be just allowed to make any joke you want about
Yeah.
them. The
So
Michael
I've got-
Jackson community.
I've got two things to say. First off, are we going to skip over the fact that Tyler called himself handsome?
Hey. I identify as handsome, therefore I am.
Fair enough. Second thing, it just confuses me because I mean I took some science class, believe it or not, in high school, and they call life on Mars life, right? Organisms or these little bacteria, they call it life. But when it's in a woman, it's no longer life. Since the time of the Bible, murder was wrong. Murder was punishable. Murder was looked upon as bad. I can't wrap my
And
head around
all the way
this.
back to the first humans that lived on this earth. You go back to Cain and Abel. It was wrong for him to murder way back in the very, very beginning of the earth. Yeah, you make a good point, and that's what was bad.
Well, it's also the left doesn't define their terms. So the pro-choice, pro-abortion side, they don't define their terms. So if you ask them to define when life is, they're like, well, whenever the mother feels like the baby is alive, and it's like, well, no, that's not. And I'm not trying to straw man here. Some people say like it's at birth, right? But that would be incorrect. That's biologically incorrect because, I mean, by the third trimester, the baby can survive on its own, right?
Yeah.
So it's at least at the third trimester. I believe it's at fertilization, just because biology. That's what biology tells you. It's two cells with its own DNA. And the question I always ask is like, okay, if it's your body, do you have two things of DNA? Like, do you have two different DNAs? Because it's once the after fertilization, you have a new a new strand of DNA.
That's a good point.
So, and obviously, we understand science, right? We understand how all this works, but obviously, we're not factoring in science when we're talking about all this stuff because we don't understand it apparently. So, even if we go just based upon just sayings or the way that we act as humans, why is it that women say as soon as they're pregnant, they know that they're pregnant? Well, I'm eating for two, or we make these comments like even without science, we understand as humans, we understand that it's a life inside of us. We understand what we're doing. But yet we somehow when it comes to a woman deciding that that guy was probably not the right guy or you know what? I just lost my job at McDonald's the other day. I can't afford the baby or whatever reason. All of a sudden now it's not life. I'm confused. I'm confused.
Yeah, and it is. It's a lot of defining, and I like what you brought up, Tyler, because it is. It's all down to definition. We can give you a definition for when life begins. We can give you a time frame exactly when life begins, and that is conception. And that's where we always get this confusion. At least people on the left get confused because they don't draw it at conception. Therefore, they have no direct line of when life begins, and it all becomes murky water after that.
So, actually, I disagree with that. I just told Josh I was going to just disagree with him at some point in this conversation. So that's about all I have there.
Oh, didn't even have a
You're
disagreement.
just disagreeing. Well, the one thing is that a lot of people on the pro-abortion side will say like, well, you don't care about the woman, and that's not the case. All right, I do feel bad for a woman who knows that she cannot take care of this baby. Same with rape victims. That's a horrible thing. That's why I personally think that, I mean, I just think of like my mom or my sister was raped. I would want to put a bullet through the head of the rapist. But murdering that
Yeah,
child.
taken
True
off
Twitter.
Twitter and YouTube that time.
Oh yeah, sorry. I feel like, again, pedophiles and rapists, we should be able to, say these kinds of things. Not saying I would do it. When I end up being accused for
They're
murder,
born that way.
what was that?
They're born that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tyler.
Just like you.
Don't make fun of their immutable characteristics.
Isn't a pedophile a rapist?
Yes and no, yeah, but a
Only
rapist
if
can also
they
not
act
be a
upon
pedophile.
it.
A rapist doesn't have to be a pedophile, but a pedophile is a rapist.
Pretty much, yeah, there's no way around
Okay,
that,
thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, as I was saying, the it's not that we don't care about the woman, right? It's that we care about the baby inside.
Mhm.
So here's the thing. One, I think an easy thing for women to start doing is, I think women should carry. They should carry guns to protect themselves from rapists. I honestly think open carry is the solution. Um, Another thing, I don't know, maybe not have sex with a guy. Like, that's the most basic way to not get pregnant.
Well,
It doesn't
and
just
you say
appear inside
open
of you.
carry. You say open carriers is the solution. I say, getting back to Second Amendment, allowing people to carry it regardless of what it is,
Mhm.
whether it's open
I
or
just want to say
concealed.
this. I completely 100% disagree with open carry. I think open carry is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my entire life. I
Not
just want to throw that out there.
entirely, but
I do
I
stand by that point.
I
And the
say
reason
I
is
say
because
open carry, reason being, if someone knows you have a gun, they're not gonna mess with you,
that is
right?
false. If I'm robbing a store and you own a gun and it's on you, you are the first person I'm going to shoot.
Yeah, that is
Defend
true.
yourself.
but if everyone's open
Nope.
carrying, no,
Concealed carry, I'm okay with it. But not everybody's going to conceal or open.
no.
Therefore, open is dumb.
But if it's now completely open,
But not everybody's going to
no,
regardless.
but stop. If you see 5 or 8 guys in the store and they're all open carrying, because listen, if you legalize it and make it more available, you will have more people. Now, that's the only reason why I would say I don't think it's the dumbest thing, because you can make it good, but I do agree with you. I think concealed carry. That's why I brought that up.
So we now go from that to now I'm not carrying my pistol anymore because I know there's 8 of you sons of guns in there with loaded weapons. I'm now carrying an AK and I'm blasting all you, and then I'm gonna rob the place. Now you're dead, and I got my money
No,
because you didn't conceal it.
because as soon as you walk
Well,
in with the AK,
You have your
taken
concealed
out.
carry
But
license. Did they not stress how stupid open carry is there?
no, because it's not that stupid. But I do agree with you to an
I
extent.
I will say, what was the town that there was a town in Georgia, I think it was, a while ago, that like mandated everyone had to own a firearm, and crime went down like a ton. Which I think that's
I
too
don't
much
recall that.
government overreach. As kind of the libertarian here, I don't think that the government should be allowed to do it, but I do think it's smart. If everyone has a gun, no one's gonna mess with each other.
It definitely would reduce rape, though, if you start to allow more people to carry, because now they can
Mhm.
protect themselves. And I actually think Steven Crowder made that point today, about, more women need to carry, because then they don't have to worry about any kind of sexual abuse and things of that nature. But
Speaking
just
of Stephen, do you want one last thing? The everyone on guns, kind of like how men normally don't punch each other, and he brought up this point today because we know that if I punch Josh, actually no, he can't punch me back if I punch him. But let's say Josh punches Britton, then he's gonna get himself punched back, and honestly, my money is on Britton. So
he does go to the
you
gym
know,
more than I do, so I guess I can't totally argue with you there. But kinda getting back to the abortion topic, we keep on jumping off on guns, but we are talking about abortion. So, if you will, go ahead and bring this overlay back up just so it can be on the screen so people can see it. So, with pro-choice, of course, this is just false, and what it is, it's a complete deflection. So you start to talk about choice. "We believe that you have the choice." We need to that's why people who are pro-life need to stop calling it pro-choice and just call it pro-abortion. And so I'm gonna go ahead and go over to, I pulled it up real quick just so I can read this. I'm gonna read the discussion I had. So of course, I just simply said that pro-life means that you believe that a fetus has a life and the right to live, therefore fighting for that life. Nobody on the pro-life believes that we should have any say in the mother's body. We believe that we have a right to fight for the life, the body that cannot defend itself, the baby. And of course, the person who posted this didn't even comment to that, but somebody else, and he commented back to me saying, "Man, if a woman having an abortion pisses you off, wait until you hear how many children are murdered each day from men masturbating. Them are the real doers of evil. Why aren't you guys chasing them?" And we'll talk about that stupid response. But I simply said, and I tried to keep it as polite as I could, because I think when you start to stoop to their level and become rude and start to attack them back, it really doesn't do any good. But in this situation, it wasn't going to do any good regardless. I know that from his first response. But I just simply said that's a low level IQ response. Life begins at conception, and that's where this idea that masturbating. Of course, I'll preach out against masturbation. It's wrong. You shouldn't do it, but not for that sense.
How is
And
it?
so
I'm just confused. How is it killing babies?
exactly because he doesn't understand when life begins.
So every teenage boy has killed about 100 babies. This is what I'm getting from
Yes.
this.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Any
100.
really any
Really?
man.
That might be an understatement.
Teenagers,
Yeah.
100? Really?
So, he then responds, "Nah, people with low level IQs think they can go around forcing their beliefs onto others." Again, another low level IQ response. But he says, you can go enforcing your beliefs on others. I'm not enforcing my belief. I'm just informing you that you're wrong about what pro life is. But then he says, "And stop acting like y'all care about children anyways, when y'all don't even lift a finger to help the ones coming in at the border." And I simply responded, "What are you doing to help kids at the border? I'd be more than glad to help in your efforts." Now, this was early in the week. I think Tuesday. It's now Thursday. I haven't gotten a response, so I don't know how I can help him in his efforts. But this is where they go. And this is where they're going to go with not just abortion, but they're going to go with any kind of argument you take. They're going to deflect. That's what pro-choice is. Pro-choice, that the term pro-choice is a deflection from the fact that it is truly not pro-choice, it is pro-abortion. Pro-choice is a deflection because they say, "We believe that you shouldn't be able to say anything about a woman's body." And then we have to sit here like deer in the headlights saying, "Oh, I don't know what to say." No, you're wrong. I don't care about the what goes on with the woman's body, but I care about the life inside that woman. It's a deflection. It's also a deflection to completely bring up a completely different subject, to bring up kids at the border as if he knew what my stance was on that. Because for all you know, I'm a Democrat who is pro-life. There are people out there like that. Now, of course, from how hardcore I am against it, I'm sure he could probably sense a little bit that I'm probably more Republican leaning. And so, yeah, sure, but not even that. But okay, if you want to take the people at the border, and what I was waiting for his response for was for him to also kind of be caught where I think I got him is that, well, crap, he kind of put me in my place, and I'm sure that didn't go through his mind because he's too stupid to get that. But this idea that he was going to bring up with people with the children at the border is putting him in cages. I guarantee it. And if that's the case, I would have simply asked him who he voted for in 2008 and 2012 and also 2020 because those are the people that put the children in the cages. Yeah, but
So because Josh was so polite in his response, I'm going to say what he was thinking. Either that guy is a liar and a hypocrite, or he was born with no hands. That's all I have to say.
well,
Well, I
he
will say,
obviously doesn't care about the life of a child anyways, so he definitely has hands.
I will say, Josh, you have officially become an internet troll, and I'm proud of you.
Well,
I
and
I want to see more trolls.
I wish we would have been able to join and do live streams during the whole Leah Thomas stuff because there were so many conversations that I had. And here's another one for people as well, because you're going to have this with anything you bring up, regardless of what it is. I get it all the time. I get it. I get comments on the podcast itself all the time because people simply see that I'm talking about something political and they say, "What right do you have to talk about this? Do you have a degree that gives you the right to talk about this? Do you have a biology degree? Do you have any kind of degree at all to understand genders or sex or life? Do you have a
I
degree in any
understand
of
men
this?"
have a penis and women have a vagina. I watched the movie Kindergarten Cop.
Exactly. I don't even know what movie you're talking about, honestly. I don't think.
You've never seen
Flinch?
Kindergarten Cop?
Oh, okay. I know what movie you're talking about. I don't think I've watched it though. If I have, it's been a long time ago.
I wonder if we have that sound effect.
You know,
Oh,
you know what
I
gives
know.
you know what gives
I
you the
know.
right to say so?
I know
The same
the
thing that's
line
on
you're
your
talking about though.
the same thing that's on your shirt, the stars and stripes. That's what gives you the right.
Yeah, well, exactly. Not only that, but education is not knowledge. I know people with degrees, with very high and very intelligent degrees, that when it comes to common sense things like men and women or abortion is murder, they're completely stupid. And it really boils down to that. Now, when it comes to abortion, I understand where some have a hard time picking a side, but you have to pick a side because like I mentioned before, there is no midway point, there is no common ground. It is all or nothing. And there is no in between with abortion.
Oh, we're gonna pick sides because I got something to say.
Yeah, go ahead. What's up?
Okay. All right, we're gonna pick sides. Obviously, I am not pro-abortion. The reason for that is the first thing I said earlier is that we consider life on Mars life, but yet we don't consider a child inside of a woman life. Second thing I will say is I've changed not my opinion, but I've changed maybe my attitude towards it because I was always probably the typical Republican, honestly. I hate to say that, but I was. I'm trying more in my life now not to be a Republican or a Democrat or I just want to be an independent thinker, just like all of us, right? But the thing is, anytime we discuss this or talk about this, we hear, but what if?
Yeah.
That's what you always hear. You will never have a conversation. I guarantee it. That's not what about or what if. I get that. I get that now. Because the only time I will ever say that the innocent life of that child that I would be okay with it is that if it comes between that life or the mother's life, which happens. If a mom is in the hospital and it's like, okay, it's one of the other.
So let me respond to that real quick.
Sure.
Yeah,
That
I have a
will
response as well.
that
Of course you
there
do.
is a 100% chance that it has never happened. I've done the research. It has never happened where you can save the mother's life by simply murdering the baby by abortion. It has happened where you can try to early deliver the child and it doesn't work out. That's not abortion. That is completely different. That's an idea that a lot of pro-abortion people have, but that's not the case. You can't simply kill the baby. You can try to deliver it early, and they do that safely. And a lot of times they can save the child, and sometimes it may not save the mother. That's an argument that is a what if argument, like you brought up,
Sure.
but it's invalid.
I'll agree to that.
Yeah.
I'll agree to that.
And
But that is the one time if that was
Yeah.
the scenario that they give us is that it's between one or the other. If it's a life versus a life,
That
I
that's
can't
that's just
consciously say, oh, one life is more important than the other.
yeah.
That's where racism is it comes into play. It's choosing one side
Yeah.
of the same human race as the other. I'm not racist either.
Yeah. But
But
that isn't a thing.
that is
Yeah.
an argument that
That is an
that I've heard.
argument, but the simple answer to that is it's not abortion to save the mother's life. It's simply an early deliverance to try to save both of the lives,
Sure.
really.
I agree.
There is never in the history been recorded of an instance where you can you can complete an abortion where you are not caring about the baby's life either. Nothing recorded. Like I said, that there may be something that's unrecorded that they've done that, but there's no instance where you have to kill the baby purposefully in order to save the mother's life. Did you have something else, Tyler, too?
yeah, so a lot of people on that side will bring up like for example, a mother is pregnant, she gets stage 4 cancer or something like that, and goes through chemo and the baby dies. That is not an abortion. That is I mean, it's tragic, of course, but that is not intentional. An abortion is the intentional killing of the baby.
Yeah.
That's taking the baby out and killing it. Or killing it inside the womb and then sucking its brains out and all that. Abortions are horrifying, and I forget what there's a documentary that shows like what they actually do. There's a huge difference between that and a woman who goes through chemo to prevent cancer and it kills the baby, right? We wouldn't say that that is someone who intentionally killed their child. when that was a side effect of the treatment.
Yeah, and did you have something else?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so like just kind of continue on what I was saying. So there's obviously that one, if there's no proven, statistics on that yet, I'm not here to say that that's impossible for that to ever happen, or that it hasn't happened and it's not recorded. Who am I to say that? I'm not a doctor, I'm a scientist. I don't know. I haven't studied all this. So
Yeah.
sure, I'll give them that. That is the only one I give them. I've heard things about you brought up rape earlier. Terrible, terrible situation. I feel absolutely terrible for that woman.
Oh yeah.
That is horrible. I'll also go on record to say I think they should be murdered. But anyway,
You,
we're already
you
off.
can't say that will get us removed from
We're
YouTube.
already removed. So I'll say it anyway. But the thing is, those situations, whatever the what if is horrible.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10. The other one is just a dumb made up thing. But 9 times out of 10, it is a horrible. That's not me saying as a pro-life person that, oh, I think that this woman is less valuable than the child. And then that's what they want to spin that on us, on all of us that believe that way. They want to spin that and say, oh, you care more about this, fetus than you do a living, breathing woman who has rights. And come on.
Well, and it is a terrible thing. Rape is horrible, and it should be spoken out against, and it shouldn't even be a discussion. That's actually a thing recently too, where there's like these feminists and men even who are sitting here and they try to explain why rape is bad. Rape is bad. There is no explanation. Rape is bad.
It's
So
one of the worst crimes.
yeah, absolutely. And so rape is bad and it's horrible, and I feel so horribly for any woman that ever has to go through that. For one, it doesn't happen very often. Usually when rape occurs, it does not leave the woman pregnant. That is a statistic. And not only that, but it's also you're choosing to take a life and punish that innocent life rather than punish the man himself. Or maybe not rather, but you are punishing that life for a crime that wasn't committed by that life. The man, the one who raped this woman, is the one that should be punished, not the baby, the innocent baby. Why should we give the death penalty to an innocent child, an innocent baby, an innocent infant that has a life, rather than punishing and giving the death penalty to the man who did the crime?
So I actually have something to say on that. You brought up a really good point. And what I want to know, this is just an epiphany. What's the word I'm
An
looking for?
epiphany.
Epiphany that just went through my mind, but I think I think it's pretty good. Why is it we're okay with murder of the child, right? But when a rapist is convicted of rape, they're sent to prison. How many rapists do you know that get the death penalty right away?
It's not a death
How
penalty
many?
crime.
That's
Not in
I thought
most
that's pretty
states.
good.
See, so I am against the death penalty. I think that I personally believe rapists should be put to death, but like I don't like the government having that power because if you see things like Kyle Rittenhouse, if the Democrats had their way, he would have been put to death.
I suppose I think I get where you're coming from. You don't want to give the way that our government can be the power, but I think you set standards. But kind of moving on from this, like, so with abortion, and I'm going to ask both of you, with abortion. Now, I think every single one of these that we brought up, these instances, we brought up rape, maybe even the mother going through complications, whatever they may be. All of these different scenarios where they say, "Oh yeah, well, what if this? What if that?" They're all distractions. Again, they're going up beyond the point. Whether it's either, again, pick a side. Either you're pro-abortion or pro-life, anti-abortion. You're either for abortion or you're against it. There is no in between. So let me ask you guys this. What is the main reason a woman goes through with an abortion? I'll start with you, Tyler.
I believe the abortion industry is one of the most corrupt. A lot of people want to talk about big pharma. I would say abortion industry is the most corrupt, and I think a lot of women are tricked into it. When you're told every single day of your life, when you're pregnant, your life is going to be ruined by this. You don't want your you don't want your life being ruined. The other thing is you don't want to you're being told that this is just a clump of cells. So you're already having the murder justified for you. So I think a lot of women are tricked into it. Now, then you get to the women who are shout your abortions and celebrate it. Now that is kind of an evil, and I don't know how you can be that kind of person. But I do understand that a lot of women are tricked into it, and you'll see interviews with people who have had abortions, and they're just like, "I can't believe I did that," and I feel bad for those women. So I think with any of the laws, the abortion provider should be punished for the same crime as murder.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I don't think we should punish the women because a lot of times, like you said, I think the women don't understand what they're going through. Even if they are pro-abortion to the fact that like you said, they're chanting. I don't think I don't think they realize what they're getting into, and they do have clauses that they have to read to them, but they're not as descriptive as they ought to be. And like you said, they do kind of persuade them towards getting the abortion, but and I think you kind of alluded to it a little bit. You do have these women who are out there pro-abortion, and they think that it's something to be celebrated. But Britain, what do you think is the main reason most people get an abortion?
Honestly, I'm going to go with Tyler. That's exactly what I think is you've actually seen, I'm sure you have the videos of the women that go in, they're actually pro choice or pro life, but they go into these abortion clinics to pretend to be pregnant just to get the information out of them.
Yeah,
It happens a lot. It's money. These places make money.
yeah,
What do you think is wrong with our government? Money, corruption, evil. It's the same thing with abortion. They make money on it. They actually talk women into it all the time. They'll tell you, "Oh, this is abortion. It's painless to the non-life." I don't know how to explain it, but it's it's just an easy way out.
there are times, and
49.99 and it's free rides from here. It's phenomenal how good a salesman these guys are.
yeah, and there are times too, because you mentioned that there are times when these women who go through an abortion will tell stories about how they could hear the baby screaming and that it was crying as they were trying to remove it from their body, and they didn't even think that it was actually a living thing inside of them. There are stories of that. And I think you guys pretty much you guys did allude to it. And my line of thinking was kind of further beyond that, why, or I guess a step before that. But I think women go in, and the reason why they think, yeah, I need an abortion. I think the main reason why that happens is just that they're irresponsible. That they went off and specifically the people who are pro abortion, they think that it should be something be celebrated about. I think they think that they want abortion because just in case they sleep with the wrong man who didn't pull out in time and they end up getting pregnant, they have that to lean back on because they're irresponsible. And that's kind of what I want to segue into the next being marriage is because I think the reason why they're so irresponsible is because they look at marriage as something that it's not supposed to be looked at today. And what marriage is a bond between two people. Britton and I can speak on this a little further, and I think Tyler can. But of course, I know Tyler. You know what marriage is, and you know what the basic
Yeah, it's something that
foundation of
I
marriage
will
is.
never be able to achieve.
I
Tyler, you're not
I
married
bet.
yet. You're a freshman in high school. What are you waiting for?
Oh, sorry. I'm a little bit I've had one girlfriend, so taking it slow. I'll be married by at least 80.
No, and you're doing it the right way. Maybe not to 80, but you're doing it the right way and taking it slow. Just searching for a soulmate because that's what it is. And today you see so many people getting into prenup, signing prenups, and what that tells you is that they are irresponsible. They don't care about their partner.
Prenup was an option.
And and so what it truly is it's a bond. with someone that you cannot you are not supposed to be able to break that bond. Now, divorce, of course, is an option, but it when you look at what marriage was, and I think all three of us are have Christian belief enough to understand that it was God that put marriage into place. The traditional marriage between a woman and a man. And that's a bond that they become one. And there is no sense of separating when it comes down to what marriage truly is. Divorce really is a man-made thing. It's not something that God made, and according to Malachi, it's something that God even hates. He hates that man ever came up with the idea of divorce, of separating from their spouse. And when we talk about abortion, and I think that, that being something that women are really just irresponsible. And Tyler alluded to it a moment ago that they just, they sleep with the wrong person. They sleep around really, just in general. And so, therefore,
So do men.
yeah,
Just throw it out there.
Yeah, I will say the men are the most when it comes to the pro-abortion men. Those are the most disgusting
oh
because
yeah,
they're not going to be affected by it.
yeah, absolutely. And I'm not attacking women. I'm glad that you guys brought that up too, because I'm not attacking women. It is men and women both. I think men are probably the ones that can lead it into the men are absolutely the enforcers and trying to sleep before marriage.
Oh yeah,
Of course,
men like sex. It's
yeah,
a true fact.
and it is a thing. That's a little loud, but but so when it comes down to it, it's really irresponsibility between the man and the woman, and they're sleeping before marriage. And when they're doing that, they're not thinking about the partner, even if it is before marriage. At least to be set in that relationship and understand that I'm sleeping with this person because I care about this person. And that's what abortion that's where it leads to abortion, because you're not ready for that kid, because you can't see yourself raising that kid with this person that you're with most of the time. Sometimes it is married couples, but I think they also have a misunderstanding of what that marriage is supposed to be and how it's supposed to work out and how you're supposed to work through that stuff together.
And just to be clear, we're not saying that women are the fault, because every time a man has sex,
They're definitely
they can
not.
create to a child being born. A woman and a man is included in that,
Yeah.
because that's how it works. I know we're probably confused on that today, how kids are born. Birds and bees. There's like birds and bees and birds and Y's and Z's,
Bees and bees and
Z's and Q's.
birds or bees that believe that they're
I never
birds, but they
understood
still
that.
got the stinger.
I need that explained to
Do
me.
birds and bees make something?
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I need that explained to me. Why
I
is it
think it's
the
I
because
think
birds
it's
and
bees
the
the
have the
bees?
stinger.
flowers, right? Are we like pollinating the
What do
flowers
what do
together?
birds have to do with
Well,
flowers?
bir- birds, they get the pollen.
Bees get the
Bee,
pollen.
or, I mean,
Yeah.
bees get the pollen, but then birds go and they spread the seeds.
Okay, I guess I didn't think of
So
that.
that's duh.
Okay,
I actually just found out.
you're
But
yeah, you're we're talking this through together,
yeah,
guys.
we're
We're
learning.
we're learning together, guys. So I'm pretty proud of us there. I think we pieced it together. I never understood what birds and bees was like. A bird and a bee don't mate. That's not a thing. So
Wait, what? Okay, so here, according to Live Science, the phrase "birds and bees" is a term used to explain the mechanics of reproduction to younger children, relying on imagery of bees pollinating and eggs hatching to substitute for a more technical explanation of sexual intercourse.
Where do the eggs come into play? I'm confused. I think you
Yeah,
had a better
yeah,
explanation.
I think our explanation is better. But getting back to the topic again, we're pretty bad about this and we're off script, but I think we're probably worse when we're on script. But so it really comes down to just an irresponsibility, and it's general in general, because like Britton said, and I'm glad that you guys helped me to stop that, because I'm not trying to call out women. It's just that women are the one that go to the procedure, and so that's why I think my brain goes that way. But it does come between man and woman that they are just so irresponsible, and our society is irresponsible. And so therefore, like when we really boil it down, I think the biggest problem with abortion is that we've strayed so far away from the family structure, and the structure that really, us as Christians, we understand is the structure that God intended for man to have, for man and woman to have, is becoming a family. And for those who don't have the Christian belief that you should save for marriage, at least you can understand that saving yourself for the person that you can find that bond with, that if you were to have a baby, you can see yourself raising them. If that's the case, also, I would say put a ring on it because if you can see yourself that far, you ought to be married then. There's no sense in waiting. But I get that some people have commitment issues. I believe that's wrong, and I think you should just get married before you start that family. But that's also another topic for another day. But looking at marriage, and I think the structure of marriage is absolutely something that you have to teach and something that you have to understand and that our society has to accept. Without our society accepting marriage, we start to have more of these issues like abortion. And we also see more we can even branch it out to even the trans movement and how heavy the trans movement is. There's so much that I think falls apart when you start to tear apart the family structure, and that's exactly what the left has been doing. They've been tearing apart the family structure where there's no longer a man and a woman first getting married and creating this family together. And I don't know. I mean, you guys can disagree with me if you want, but I think that's basically the base root, at least one of the base roots that I can see is backing abortion up to understanding and coming to the same agreement on the structure of marriage and what that truly is.
Well, so I think the biggest issue that we have with abortion is we just have no moral framework anymore. So
Yeah.
we've fallen so far away from Judeo-Christian values, which whether or not you believe in God, Judeo-Christian values are they're what created Western civilization. All right. Things like don't have sex before marriage. Things like love your neighbor, love your enemies too. These are all Christian values that were they created our entire society. We've fallen so far away from those. Now it's well, I can have sex with whoever I want because this is my body, my choice, and we hear that a lot, except for masks and vaccines. That's the only time it doesn't apply. Uh, but we've fallen so far away from these morals that now no one cares when they get an abortion. No one cares when they have sex before marriage. No one cares about these things that back in the day, get like 30, 40 years ago, we would have been a lot more like that's a bad thing. 40 years before that, that's a terrible thing. 40 years before that, that's the worst thing you could do. But now it's just what everybody does, and it's just been so normalized.
Yeah.
So according to the guy on Facebook, it's not my body, my choice because you're not allowed to masturbate with your body. I'm confused.
Did you have something to say on the subject of marriage and that being kind of a structure point?
So obviously that's a biblical thing. We understand it. I've been married for a few months now.
Since October.
Since October. Um,
Wait, you're that's honestly kind of a shock.
that I got married.
Yeah, and
He's
it's
a really
lasted
nice
this
guy.
long.
No, yeah, I got married to a beautiful woman.
Th-
Marriage,
I think you need to take out the "w" in woman.
fair enough. This is
Why are you
insane.
gay?
But I think there's definitely something to be said about marriage and what it's what it is, what it signifies is a man and a woman becoming one, and it was always designed to be till death do you part. I've never been to a wedding that they have not said that.
We've been
So
to the same person's wedding
yeah,
where they've said that several times.
yeah, I know. I've been to multiple weddings of the same person that it's not worked out that way. I've been invited to another one. Um, I'm sorry if you're watching.
I don't mean that as an attack to anyone.
I do.
It's a joke.
I can see who's the nice one of the family.
Yeah, not me.
That's
So,
why I'm the favorite.
but the thing is, like, marriage is designed for that reason. That's why it's not to be taken lightly. Um, I think it was our 3-year anniversary. Allie's not gonna watch this anyway. I think it was our 3-year anniversary that we got married on. And it's like, I actually told Allie on the first date we were ever on. I still remember where we were at, and I said, "I'm gonna marry you someday." Don't tell her, but I didn't mean it. I mean, really. because you don't know at that time. But after so long, after you spend that time with a person, that's why it's so serious to take your time and to really get to know, is this a person that you want to be with forever? And I think marriage, just in general, that takes away things like abortion. That there's so many good things that come from marriage. I mean, as humans, we're designed and programmed to want uh, love and compassion and affection from other humans, right? That's how we're wired. And that's what marriage helps us with. We have that other person that we can trust with our entire lives, to know our deepest, darkest secrets, to just know us. That's the one person that knows you. There's a lot of great things that come from marriage. I mean, putting the Bible aside and putting things that people may agree and disagree upon aside, marriage in general is just, it's a good freaking thing.
Yeah, and when you understand what marriage is supposed to be, and even for people who have married several times, I think they probably have even a better understanding than we do. That marriage is something, some people, not all, but some people who have been married several times, I think sometimes you can see that, and I think we can see that in somebody that we know, where sometimes that marriage really can be something that you think it's right, it's just not, and you didn't see how wrong it was, and you finally find somebody who does fit you properly in the way that you expected the first time. But and I think those people can even see that and probably come to an agreement with that when they finally look at it through the big picture. But it's something that when you look at marriage and you come to an understanding that marriage is what binds it all together. Like you said, that special bond with somebody that you're going to spend your life with them, that you've committed yourself, that you don't want to be separated. And it is something. I know that's kind of something similar with my wife. I didn't tell her that I was going to marry her, and I even teased her that there's no way I'm going to marry her, but she still stuck with me. And
Yeah, that
she
was a really bold move, Britton. Just first date. I'm gonna marry you someday.
well, and
Look where it got me.
Well, yeah, maybe it works. I'll
I,
try
I
that
think
next time.
I think even for myself, you do feel that way too with somebody. Is though like Britton said, I think you don't really mean it 100%, but a part of you does feel it. Like I'm sure you probably felt that way. That it was like you said that you didn't really mean it 100% because you don't know yet, but you did feel it in that moment. You did feel that, and that's kind of that's the way that I think I felt too, and it's something that is and inseparable, and it's something that is unique. But when you have that marriage and you have that structure, things like abortion, it becomes easier to set that aside when you truly understand what marriage really is, because when you actually have that real bond, that real marriage, and that real structure of a home, when that person that you love and care for so much is carrying your child, abortion will not come across your mind. You are set and you are ready for that. Now I know that there are some people that have gotten abortion when they're married, but I also think that they're not thinking of the true structure of marriage and the bond that really is there. And I think when you find that structure and understand what that structure is supposed to be, I think we start to defeat things like abortion. I think that's at least one of them I think that we can start to defeat. And we also can kind of defeat some of the LGBTQ community as well. I think that's another one that there's a lot of things in society.
I would be curious to know the statistics on people that go through abortion, whether or not they ever get married.
Um,
I'd be
I
curious.
yeah, I'm
I
not
don't
I'm
know,
not
so I'm
sure
not gonna
about
speak
that.
upon it, but
Do
I
you
would
do
be
you mean
curious.
do you mean like how many people get an abortion when they are married?
No, I'm talking about
Okay,
just like,
because
I feel
that
like
that number is actually higher than I
people
thought.
that have an abortion that stick with a marriage, like people that get married one time and stick with it and take value in what marriage is, those kind of people that understand marriage and respect it and understand it completely versus abortion, just in general.
Yeah, yeah,
That'd be a great study.
that is
That would
something.
be something interesting. We should look into that. Just real quickly, I do have a question since we're on the topic of marriage. What are your guys's in 2015 the legalization of gay marriage? What are your because I know you guys are both Christians, so I know from a Christian perspective, but from a legal perspective, what is your guys' thoughts on gay marriage?
I'll go ahead and speak first. I'm all for it. I really am. I'm I don't personally like homosexual marriage, but I do not think that it is the government's place to speak upon that. That's just my opinion. Unpopular belief among Christians, probably.
Well,
I'm with you on that. I don't think the government. I think government being involved in marriage is government trying to play God, and when government tries to play God, I mean, we've seen how that's.
You couldn't
Have
have
seen
said
the
it better.
Holocaust.
I honestly wish we didn't have the government involved in marriage at all for the most part. I
I
think
think
that's
that's been the
something.
downfall of marriage
Yeah,
is government getting involved.
I think that's something between the man and the woman. And whenever it comes to homosexual marriage, I don't think you outlaw it because you're stepping in somewhere where again I don't think you, I'm kind of surprised we all agree so hardly on that. But you know you don't have a say so in it, and it's something that the Christians ought to speak out against. I do not like homosexual marriage. I don't like the action of homosexuality, but I will love you and I will care for you and try to show you why you're wrong and where you're wrong, and I want you to be right. And I genuinely think that it is a mental illness inside of our minds, and it's sometimes so when people say I'm born this way, I think sometimes it's hard to deny that. I think you are born with some sort of, I know it sounds harsh to say, some sort of mental illness that twists your brain into believing that that's what you want. And I really think that's the case.
Quick question, since we're kind of on this topic anyway, what are your guys' opinions about the government being involved just in marriage in general?
Yeah, that's what I said. I don't think they should have
I
a.
should be
So
completely.
I'm going to disagree
Uh,
with you slightly on this because divorce does happen. It's always going to happen. It's never going to end. So, and I think divorce, as bad as it is, and I get that, I think there are times for divorce.
There are.
I really strongly feel that. So, with that being said, there has to be some sort of government involved that is going to protect the man or woman, and it's unfortunately, let's go ahead and say it's usually the woman that's protected a lot more in that, with child support, even though it's 50-50 custody or whatever case you want to throw out. But I think there is an importance of there being some kind of set stone of saying, okay, well, if say I'm with Allie and she has no job because I make just a crazy good amount of money, and I've sent her to raise our children. I said, stay home, clean the house, be a good wife and make a sandwich. I'm one of those husbands, right?
you're sexist. You're a misogynist. That's what I'm
Yes.
getting from this.
Yep. So now all of a sudden, because I've chosen that life for her, we get a divorce and now she's out on the streets because this is my house. I paid for it. This is so I think there's to some extent, I mean just some, that we do need to have some kind of laws set in place, which that comes from government
Yeah.
that protect both man and woman. And I don't think that it's necessarily done correctly now today, but I do think that there needs to be government
I think
in place somewhere.
I think that's something we're going to come back to in one of our upcoming, maybe next week. We'll kind of dive more into that. I do want us to each kind of bring something up because I think we do have a little bit of a disagreement somewhere, but I think I also kind of agree with you. But just for the sake of time, we're going to kind of come back to that idea. But overall tonight, hopefully everyone's kind of seen the connection where, especially when we look at things like abortion. And I think abortion is something, again, it's something that we don't have a middle ground. And when you look at the left as a whole, compare it to the right, now I think that there is such a divide where and there's actually such a movement where there are so many people that are not involved in politics, they don't care about politics, and they just live their life and don't pay attention to them, they don't care. And I can understand where that can be healthy for someone to not have so many cares and worries. But with the societal issues that we have in our society here in America today, I think it's time for people to wake up. And I don't think it's time for us to say, yeah, go ahead and stay out of politics. No, when we talk about being involved in politics, I don't care as much about politics as I do about the society that's growing around me. So therefore, that's why me personally, politically insane is here because of the society being destroyed by political decisions around us. So therefore, that's why I think we need to see things like this. We need to see how there is a complete divide on topics like abortion, We've touched even on transgender, the trans movement, and really LGBTQ, whatever the alphabet acronym. There is such a divide and a misunderstanding between the two sides that we have to start speaking up. I think when you look at the movement on the right, we are always going to lose because there are so many people that can see that the things that we fight for on the right, in general, the things that we fight for is common sense stuff that most people, I think I can speak to say that most people would see that the movement on the right is the correct way. And that's just overall speaking. I get that there are still some things that the Democrats, the Democratic Party may do that might help. I don't know of many of them, so please enlighten me there. But just generally speaking, I think there are more people that would be willing to fight for things like the trans movement, the pro-life movement, the Second Amendment. There are so many topics like that boil down to our society, that I think there are more people that would side with us on the right, but they just don't want to be involved in politics. They're going to sit in the middle and listen to all of you bicker and just try to stay out of it and enjoy their life. But what about this? Think about it. It's in your society. It is going to affect you whether you want it to or not. It is going to affect your children whether you want it to or not. It is going to be taught in their schools whether you want it to or not. It is going to change your children whether you want it to or not. It is going to change the world that your children, your grandchildren live in, whether you want it to or not. So it is time for us to wake up, because I used to be that way where I didn't want to be involved in politics. I just want to stay out and enjoy my life. You need to speak up, and you need to fight against the things in society that are going to destroy your life and your family's life. You need to stand up and fight for the society that you want to live in and that you want your family to live in. And when we start to spread out and help people realize that, help them realize how important it is to pick a side. Now, you don't have to side with the right on every single thing. Maybe there are some things that you don't completely side with, but you do need to pick a side, and you take out the societal issues and you have to pick a side. And it is so crucial because there is no middle ground. We are in such a divide where it is going to come to a civil war. It will, if we keep on going down this path. So which side are you going to take? Which side are you going to take and look at and say, that's the side, that's the America that I want to live in? And hopefully we can fight before it becomes a civil war. Hopefully we can all stand up and unite and fight on whatever side you're on, to fight and win that fight before it becomes a civil war. And I think that's crucial. Did you have something, Bray?
So while you're nice and heated there, I think I would go probably go as far to say that if you don't pay attention to politics, or even going beyond politics, the things of the world, if you're not willing to take a stand, if you're not willing to pick between these important topics, do us all a favor and do not have kids. Because like you alluded to, they will be persuaded one way or another. If you believe in abortion with all your heart, teach that to your kids. I mean that. Let that be known to your kids. Whatever it is that you believe in, that's why you have kids, right? You have kids so that they can raise up or grow up and be raised to have these, beliefs that you do, and that they can be a better version of you, right? That's the whole reason. Make them a better version of you. Because if you don't teach them the things that you believe in, and I don't want you to teach your kids that abortion's okay, but if that's what you truly believe in, then by all means teach them that.
Well, and
Because that's why we have kids, to grow up to be a better version of you.
and it's not necessarily what I'm trying to say is not to join politics on the left or the right, but what I'm trying to say is to join the fight in society. Not to pay
Understand what's
attention
going
to
on.
politics, but to pay attention to the society that's growing around
Right.
you. What'd you say there, Tyler?
Understand what's going on in our world
Yeah.
Yes.
and
Yeah,
in our
just
country. And then another thing to Britain's point, there's the saying, conservatives have children, liberals have yours.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the truth, is the birth rate between, someone who's Christian, like even like Mormons, especially, like they have a ton of kids, Catholics have a ton of kids, but
And
liberals don't. Secular leftists do not have kids.
Yeah, and that's really where I'm going to leave it off today. Just pick a side, not as a whole, because I get, like I said, there's going to be some things, and I'm not saying Republican and Democrat, but generally on the right and generally on the left, there you can choose a side just broadly that way. And that's why I'm so hardcore right leaning, because when I look at everything the left does, like I said, please show me something that I can agree with on the left. Show me there is no more getting to middle ground anymore. We have gone so insane on the left, at least from the right's perspective. We've
Some
gone
might say politically insane.
yeah, you might say. And it's gotten to such a great divide that there is no more sitting in the middle. There is no more middle ground. You have to pick a side. You have to find these societal issues that are going to affect your life and your society, and you have to choose what kind of society you want to live in and what kind of society you want your children, your grandchildren, and your generations to come to live in.
Can I
And
get an amen?
we're gonna leave it off with that. But I want to thank you all so much for watching and for listening. Again, we're gonna be here. I'll try to get everything changed on the website, on the uh, social media, all that kind of stuff. We're gonna be here on Thursdays. I'm gonna shoot for about 8:15, somewhere in that range. And so it'll be kind of I think Steven Crowder calls it comedian time. So it'll be right around 8 Central Time. So 8 p.m. Central Time is what we'll shoot for our live streams for these late night shows. So I want to thank everybody who did join. If you joined later on after this is already up as a recording, please go ahead and comment. Let us know, some of you. We talked about some stuff. All right, we talked about some stuff. So please comment. Let us know what you're thinking. Engage in the conversation, because I'll still touch on some of those comments as well. I've had some really good comments after the fact, and I like that too. So I want to thank everybody so much. That's all we have for today. God bless. Oh, hey there. You're still here. Okay, well, if you made it this far, you might as well just go ahead and hit that share button. Go ahead and share this episode on social media with your friends, your family, whomever you think wants to hear this episode. Just go ahead and share it. It's a great way to help us. You can also help support Politically Insane by going over to Apple Podcast or Spotify and giving us a 5-star rating. It's a great way to get us up towards the top of the charts. And you can go over to politicallyinsane.us/shop, and you can find all of our merchandise in the store there. Go check it out. We've got a lot of cool things, lots of tumblers and mugs and t-shirts, and it will be constantly growing. So you can support us there and also rep Politically Insane. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for all of our updates, and go ahead and subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rumble channel, wherever it is that you are watching right now. Or if you're just listening, do whatever it is that you're supposed to do on the podcast platforms. Anyways, we thank you so much for watching, for listening, for supporting Politically Insane. God bless.